Hi everyone, I'm Ferd and welcome to my wood shop. This is an edited video that I done about 20 years ago. I built a high chair for my first grandchild. This same high chair is now seating my 11th grandchild. It was a 4-part video, fairly long and very hard to find that third and fourth part. A lot of time I took to edit this, added a lot more information to it, shortened it down to about 30 minutes. And I have the plans for it. If you want them, there's no charge. The only thing that I ask is subscribe to the channel and join the family and help me grow. The plans include all the templates that you need for the tray, the seat, the slats, all the dimensions, the angles, the cuts. Very, very detailed description on how to build this high chair. Let's watch young Ferd build this high chair and enjoy the video. Okay, the first thing that I worked on was the seat of the chair. Cut it out, give you the dimensions. One of the important things about it is the holes you have to drill for the back slats and the back posts. These are at a 7-degree angle, and if you're like me, I don't have $1 million worth of tools and a fancy drill press that I could use to, drill angled holes like that. So I made a jig. Okay, I took a piece of 1 3/4 inch, laid my pattern out on it and marked the holes. Used a 1/2 inch drill on my $89 drill press over there and drilled straight down all the way through it. Then I took this and used my table saw, set the blade at 7 degrees, and then just ran it through and cut it off with a 7-degree angle on the one side there, if you can see it. You take this and you lay it upside down on the side that you cut off. You do that, it gives you the 7-degree guide that you need. Okay, it's all cut out. I got my little jig on here. You can see how it's in the little angle. The holes are in an angle also. Just simply drill all my holes. I got a cordless hand drill. You can use one with a cord, without, whatever you have will work. Alright, I'm back. Okay, seats ready. Got all the holes drilled. You can see I got the contour sanded for the butt. First thing you want to do, the two pieces that you cut out of your plans, you've got the larger outline of the tray and then you've got a smaller one. This is going to be the indentation that's going to be in the wood, the smaller one. You take the bigger one first, you draw your outline of it, then you take the smaller one, you measure, it's going to be 5/8 of an inch all the way around the outline, and draw this out. Then you take your template and you line it up with the smaller one that was in the middle. You'll have your pencil marks on the inside here, so you line that up with that, and then you screw this down and secure it to this piece of wood right here. Okay, the plate that I made for the router is made out of 3/4 inch particle board. You want something that's not going to flex on you in the middle, and I found this to be pretty good. So what I did, it's 2 feet long, 10 inches wide. You take your base off of your router, find your holes for your screws. You want a pretty good size hole on the inside because you want to be able to see what you're doing. And then simply just mount the base to the other side of it. The jig that we made for our router is going to sit on top of that. And what you're going to do is slide this back and forth and up and down and all around and cut this out. And to do that, we're going to be using a core box bit. It's got little bearing on it that's going to follow around the outside part of your template that you've made. Okay, I got everything set up and ready to go. If you've got a porta-cable router, it probably came with a set of wrenches similar to that right there. Those are about 3/8 inches thick. That's about how deep you want your router bit to be. So I'm going to do this in 2 steps because this is oak and it's really hard wood. So what I did is I found my little rollers are about half the thickness of these. I set those under here and set my router bit, so that's going to give me my depth for my first cut. Then when I go to my second cut, I'll do the same thing with these. Put these under here, lower my bit, and then that'll give me that thickness, which is about what I want for the depth of the inside of the tray. And we'll go ahead and get started on that. Routing out the tray. It's not a very quick process, but it's efficient. It does a really good job. Take your time, back and forth, do it in a couple of different steps so you don't burn your wood. And then after you get down to your final depth, run your router back and forth in the opposite direction to try to knock down all this. This is kind of the highlight of the Highchair, and do a real good job on that. It makes the rest of it look really, really nice. These are my 2 front legs. What you want to do is choose the side of the leg that you want to show and then mark it. We're going to do some mortising, and we're going to route out the grooves on the insides and the back sides of these for our aprons to attach. And I'm going to show you how to set up the router and cut those out. First, set your router bit at 5/8 inches high off of your table. Then take your board that you drew your X in, put it up against the fence, and then adjust your fence out to where this vertical line in the dead center of the router bit. That way, no matter which way we turn our board, depending if we cut it right, no matter which way we turn our board, we're going to have the same exact cut on both sides of it. The next thing, we need our cut to be 2 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my feather board. I'm just going to bring that down. Got it all the way down. We'll bring it down here and mark that 2 inches. So that's going to be my stop when I route my legs out. We're set up and we're ready to go. And that's what it looks like when you're done. Okay, on my seat backs I did the same thing. Marked them with the tape, right and left, the side that I want showing. And then the crown is going to go in between the 2 of these, and it's going to be cut a little bit different. Leave a space between here and there before we route our groove. So we're going to have to plunge the bit and then route our groove and then stop. Okay, the router bit is 5/8 inches deep. That's how our cut's going to be, just like before. From this end of the router bit to your fence is going to be 3 3/4 inches to your block up on this side of it. And then we've got another block back here. You notice that you have to come out quite a bit because you got this angle on this side. The angle's going to touch out here, and then your furthest point of the angle is going to touch on the inside. So you want to make sure that's wide enough. But if your back that you cut is like it's supposed to be, and it's 15 1/4 inches from here to its furthest point, then you measure from your stop to this stop is going to be 17 7/8 inches. That's going to give you the 3.5 inches that you need to route out. And there you go. Okay, while we're at the router table, we're going to go ahead and route out the slats that go on the back of the seat. All you got to do is round the edges off. Okay, to do that, we use a 1/4 inch round over bit. You want this end of it to be round like a dowel so it'll slide down in the holes that we drilled earlier for the seat. That one's all finished. If you see the end of it, it looks a little square. If that don't fit down in your hole real tight, you can use your sander and kind of round it off a little bit. Keep trying it until you get it down in there. And with that, just a little more sanding, and this thing, man, it's ready to go. Okay, before you cut your angles in the legs on your fronts, you got a foot rest. It's going to go across, and you want to cut a groove on the inside part of this leg, not on the front, but on the inside, and it's going to be like 3/8 inches deep. I'm going to do mine on the table saw. I'm just going to make several passes with the blade. You can use a dado or a router bit if you're really good with it. Now the cut in the leg for the foot rest can be a little tricky, but there's the most important thing about it. You want to set that saw blade at a 2-degree angle. If you don't and you cut it at the 90-degree angle, I'll show you here what it looks like and what you can do to fix it. In these illustrations, pay close attention where those mortises are positioned on the saw when you're making your cuts. Cutting the left leg, you got the front of the leg facing the saw blade. The inside mortise is facing down, and the other mortise is facing the back side of the leg towards you. Now with the right leg, the back of the leg should be facing the saw blade. There'll be a mortise facing the saw blade, and the other mortise is facing down. Now, if you do everything correct, it should look like this right here. You see the two cuts are parallel with each other, and your footrest is going to slide right in there. If you've made the wrong cut with the 90-degree, this is what it's going to look like, and you're not going to be able to slide your footrest in there. To fix this, my first reaction was to just glue a piece of wood in there and recut it. But you have to remember that we've already cut an angle in those legs. So that approach may be a little bit difficult to pull off. When you use a sangling jig, you can get these at Woodcraft, Rockler, Sears Hardware, about 20 bucks. If you don't have one of them, you can make your own jig. I used to use this one for some smaller table legs. It serves the same purpose, just cut it to where you got your right angle for these legs if you don't have one of these. the legs, the back posts, and the arm posts for the chair. Here I've got my jig set up, getting ready to do the other half of the mortising to put the crown on the back of the chair. And there's what it looks like. On the crown, we're gonna cut this off, and really nice cut right there, and it should fit pretty good. Do the other side, and then we'll see how it fits. Now we're gonna start putting the legs together. I've got my aprons cut out. I've got my tongue cut in them to fit in the grooves that we made over at the router table. Now all I got to do is cut out like 1/4 of an inch right up here at the top of it, if you can see the mark, and round that off so it's going to fit down into the round part of the leg right here. And I'm going to do that over on the scroll saw. My tongue and groove for the tops of the chair turned out really good. I got a really nice tight fit on both sides of it. This thing, I just need to drill my holes, get my pattern back out. The back of the chair is done. Okay, I went ahead and I put everything together. Everything's fitting nice. It's just clamped for right now. And what I need to do next, measure up 7 3/8 inches from the table to the top on both sides, and I put a straight edge because we're going to put a brace across here, and we're going to route these out on both sides, and the brace is going to inset in there about 1/8 of an inch. So I marked it, put my ruler up. This is 1.5 inches wide, which is what I'm needing, and marked a line at the top and at the bottom. And this is the area I need to route out on both sides of the leg. Now this is the side of the chair. This is going to be the front and the back. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now the cross braces took a lot of time to make the angled cuts, to get them to fit. Take your time on all of this stuff on the bottom. There's a lot of angles, and this is grooved out 3/4 of an inch. Cross brace goes across. There's going to be a screw here with a plug to hide it. Then on the two ends, I'm just going to drill a 3/8 hole and then put a dowel rod in there and glue this real good. The dowel rod will keep it from ever spreading apart. Okay, I've got the thing put together with clamps right now, and I'm working on the footrest, which goes across the front of it. And I've done this in 2 pieces. In this picture, you can see where the dado is cut wider than my 2 lines that I have drawn there. What I had to do to fix my mistake was to find the 2 degrees that I needed and cut it with a handsaw. I couldn't go back to the table saw because I had already cut the angle in the leg. That's why I said that gluing a piece of wood in there probably wouldn't help, because either way you're going to have to cut it by hand. I just used thicker stock on the footrest and went that route. If you notice right here, before we cut the angles in our leg, there's a little angle on this way. Now these are angled too, but I went back and I've straightened them out. I've cut the first piece with the angle, and I've cut that about 2 inches, a little bit wider than the width that it's going to be there. And then this, the front of it, is going to overlap about maybe 1/2 inch on each side of it to cover this over here. And instead of making it all in one piece and trying to cut it straight across here and get it to fit flush, I've done it this way. The wood's a little thicker. I'm going to glue it together, and then I'm going to plane it down to where it's this thickness, and it's just going to slide right in there. And then I can cut it out the length that I need and then trim it off across the back. If you've been following along and you kind of understand what I'm saying, look at the back of the footrest after I'm done with it. You'll see that little angle in the back piece of it that slides into the legs of the chair. I cut that first and then glued it to the piece on the front. Then I cut the shape of the footrest out on the front of it, planed it down to where it would fit in there, ran it through the router, and we have a perfect fit. Okay, when you're sanding these pieces right here that go, your cross braces that go on the side, you've done your cuts on, you don't want to sand on this edge here or there. I was just getting real close to this side where the leg's going to come up and it's going to be real close. Now if you sand that, it's not going to fit perfectly into your groove that you made there. My main focus was the pencil marks in this area, and then the flat part back here where this cross brace is going to go, where I'm not going to be able to really get in there and sand real good. Your cross brace that fits between here and goes across, you want to stay away from this end where it fits in there. Okay, I got one of my sides sort of put together here, and all we're going to do is we're going to glue these 4 points right here. And then this part of it, I've got these wooden dowels, just regular oak dowel rods, and I kind of rounded the edge off a little bit. We're going to drive those down in these holes after we get it glued down. A little bit of glue on a toothpick. Kind of coat the inside of it, just enough to make that thing stick. It don't take much. Okay, the bottom's pretty much together. Got these trimmed off flush. They're not quite sanded all the way yet. And the next thing we need to do is trim this across the top so the seat will set on there pretty flat. I'm looking for this angle right here. So I got an angle finder. That's what I want my blade to be set at. Now because this thing's so wide, I've got a little sled that I made for it. It's kind of generic, but it'll do the job. Got a roller set up at the end of the table. I want to set my angle for the miter back here. And it should be like 1.5 degrees. Now I need to cut the feet so they'll sit flat onto the floor. I found a piece of wood, it's about the height of that right there, and I'm just going to go around and draw a line all the way around it, and do all 4 legs like this. That's where my cuts are going to be. Now on the seat assembly, everything's pretty much cut and dry. Glue your plugs, your dowels, install the posts, a little bit of glue in the back slats just to keep them from spinning. The only thing we got left on this is to put the arms on it, and we're going to do that as soon as this glue dries. Now the arm posts, when they attach back here, there's an angle. Again, I've used my angle finder. I'm going to use that to find the angle, set my blade, and then cut the back of this to where it's going to fit that angle right there. Now I want to mark the bottom here where this attaches all the way around, and then I'm going to mark it over here where I know to drill a hole in the back side. We'll screw it here. We'll screw it down through the center here with a 3/8 inch hole and a plug. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Not something you're going to be able to do over a weekend, but it is a chair that's going to last you for generations to come. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. Join the family, the channel's growing. Ring that notification bell, get notified when I put new videos up there. If you're looking to build one of these for your own child or your grandchildren to come, have fun.